World Enters Era of Global Water Bankruptcy. Green Edge by Charlotte Sterrett. Menzies for Climate.
The world has moved beyond a water crisis and into a state of global water bankruptcy, says a new United Nations report released last month. This is an existential crisis for our planet because all life depends on water. It is unclear when the whole system may collapse, but already we are seeing implications for peace and social cohesion, with conflict over water increasing around the globe. The 2026 report, entitled Global Water Bankruptcy: Living Beyond Our Hydrological Means in a Post-Crisis Era, finds that many societies have long been using water faster than it can be replenished annually in rivers and soils, as well as overexploiting or destroying long-term stores of water in aquifers and wetlands. Despite scientists warning for decades of a global water crisis, with short-term shortages followed by recovery, what is now emerging in many places is a persistent shortage whereby water systems can no longer realistically return to their historical baselines.
For much of the world, normal is gone,
said Kaveh Madani, Director of the UN University Institute for Water, Environment and Health and lead author of the report.
This is not to kill hope, but to encourage action and honest admission of failure today to protect and enable tomorrow,
Mr. Madani said. The report highlights how over the past century, societies have drastically reconfigured the global water cycle.
Dams, diversions, drainage works and canals have transformed river systems. Irrigation, land use change and groundwater pumping have altered evapotranspiration and recharge patterns. Greenhouse gas emissions have warmed the atmosphere and oceans, changing precipitation regimes, snowpack, glacier mass balance and the intensity of extremes. Population growth, urbanisation and economic expansion have increased water demand for agriculture, industry, energy and cities.
The climate crisis is exacerbating the problem by melting glaciers which store water and causing a rollercoaster between extremely dry and wet weather, something we know only too well here in Australia. Mr. Madani said that while not every basin or country was water bankrupt, the world was interconnected by trade and migration, and enough critical systems had crossed this threshold to fundamentally alter the global water risk. Already we live in a world where 75% of people live in countries classified as water insecure or critically water insecure, and 2 billion people live on ground that is sinking as groundwater aquifers collapse. Conflicts over water have risen sharply since 2010, while major rivers, such as the Murray-Darling system in Australia, are failing to reach the sea. Half of the world's large lakes have been shrinking since the early 90s, and day zero emergencies, where cities run out of water, such as Cape Town in 2018, are escalating. In fact, Melbourne Water has suggested, despite the desalination plant, that Melbourne risks permanent water shortages due to rapid population growth, data centre expansions and potentially diminished long-term rainfall. Globally, agriculture remains the largest water user, with around 70% of fresh water used for agriculture, and more than half of global food is grown in areas where water storage is declining or unstable. Surface waters and wetlands are shrinking on a massive scale as human development is destroying natural stores such as wetlands and polluting waterways. In the past 5 decades, 410 million hectares of natural wetlands, which is almost the land area of the European Union, has been destroyed. Here in Australia, in January 2026, the federal government officially listed the Murray River downstream of the Darling River as critically endangered. This listing provides the highest level of protection under the Environmental Protection and Biodiversity Conservation Act 1999, due to risks of ecological collapse from water extraction, drought and climate change. And our own local river, the Birrarung Yarra River, is also under threat, suffering from significant over-extraction, with an average of around 460,000 megalitres per year in recent years diverted for Melbourne's water supply, agriculture and industrial use, altering natural flows and damaging ecosystems. This is equivalent to 184,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Over-extraction, combined with climate change and urban pollution, has led to degraded water quality, reduced biodiversity and habitat loss for species such as the platypus. Urgent action needed. The report is urging leaders to fundamentally reset how water is protected and used around the world. The report calls for an urgent transition from short-term emergency responses to a deliberate strategy that prevents further irreversible damage, reduces and reallocates demand, transforms water-intensive sectors, tackles illegal withdrawals and pollution, and ensures just transitions for those whose livelihoods must change.
Water bankruptcy management requires honesty, courage, and political will. We cannot rebuild vanished glaciers or reinflate acutely compacted aquifers. But we can prevent further losses and redesign institutions to live within new hydrological limits,
Mr. Madani said.
This article has been adapted from an article in The Guardian, published in January 2026. Era of global water bankruptcy is here, UN report says, which can be found online at theguardian.com. To see the full UN report, go to the United Nations University's website at unu.edu. This article was written by Charlotte STERRETT, former Yarra riverkeeper and member for Menzies for Climate, and advocates for a swimmable birrarung. This story was read by Rebecca Rose.
Sandy Miller.
Mason Frost.